Neat Nation, welcome to the Thursday night live stream of Abandoned Bourbon on my left, which is your right, and me. We're ready to taste some whiskey. Doing some live reviews tonight, as well as a blind battle, which we are 2-2 on. I have one.
Take a break from eating pepper fries before we do this.
Highly recommended. Pepper fries may be a palate killer, but we'll come back.
You know, it's not a palate killer. High Noon Sunset.
Well, you're early, but that's great. Yeah, let us have what is good about High Noon Sunsets, friend.
Well, it's a low 100 calorie, no added sugar, gluten free, vodka soda, delicious flavor, juicy fruit gum. But get you crunk, drinking my dreams.
In the world of seltzer, I mean, High Noon just gets it right. There are many companies out there hustling the seltzer game. I heard the seltzer industry is struggling. A rose rises from the ashes in the form of High Noon. I think they're here forever because what they do is magical. I feel like if you ever wanted to have the sensation of your tongue basically turning into a unicorn, drink High Noons, because that's basically what it does, and they're delicious. And as Brian said, the 100 calories doesn't get much better than that. So guilt-free drinking for sure, and you don't compromise on flavor. They're way sweeter than you'd think they should be, right? Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like drinking a soda, a delicious soda with alcohol in it, but pretty low sugar, relatively speaking. So big thanks to High Noon Sunsets for officially, unofficially, not really sponsoring this show per usual. Yeah.
Thank you, High Noon Sunsets.
Yeah, I mean, they're really doing a great job of not doing anything. So we're very thankful to those guys over there, who we don't know personally, have never talked to, though we've tagged repeatedly on Instagram. Big thanks to Eric Sawyer for continuing the evangelism to try and get us sponsored by High Noon Sunsets. I feel like that's going to be the day we make our last show, was when we finally achieve this goal. I am passing on imbibing on the Sunsets, as delicious as I think they are. It's just because I had a busy week last week. I didn't drink 2 nights ago. I had one small drink the night before that. Last night I had my only down night in quite some time. Where I had nothing to do. So I sat on the couch and I drank bourbon and I ate junk food and I watched golf shows and I had a decent amount of bourbon. So tonight, with, forthcoming reviews, the blind battle, I'm trying not to die tomorrow. So I'm going to control myself here. Well, we'll see. I mean, we're on here for 2 hours, and the more you ingest, the more you want to ingest. So TBD. We're going to see what it's like. I am starting with just a little bit of a palate acclimator here. I'm revisiting. So we'll get into what are you drinking tonight. I'll start. I'm revisiting the Bardstown Bourbon. Last week I bottle popped it, and I mentioned the cognac was so pronounced. And even in my first sips tonight, that's still what it is. Like when you taste it initially, it's not reminiscent of bourbon whatsoever. The bourbon finish, though, is nice. That's coming through a little bit more. I'm starting to get a touch of the oak because this is a 10-year-old bourbon. I would expect some oak influence. Very, very sweet nose. Tastes like a Scotch up front, like a heavily finished Highland Scotch. Cognac finished, obviously. But then at the end, you get a little bit of the Kentucky reminiscence, like a touch of tobacco and oak. But it still just tastes like a really, really sweet whiskey that could not be bourbon. Like if I was tasting this blind, I'd be like, I don't know if that's a finished bourbon. What is that? It's not bad at all. Like it's quite good, but it's not really what I wanted. So, I mean, it's hard for me to knock a bourbon for not being what I wanted. So I'm still only a little bit into it. I'm a bar on this. I think I said last week, I'm still with that. Like try it at a bar. If you love it, get yourself a bottle. I wouldn't recommend buying this off the shelf if you haven't tried it before. Not because it's bad, but because if you're not into cognac, or you're not into really finished, really sweet whiskey, you may not like it. So that's where I'm at. Brian, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Bulleit tonight. It's another Bulleit single barrel from a friend of mine. He runs a group here, and the group, or I don't exactly know if the group runs it or who runs it, but he does a auction every year. This Bourbon and Benevolence auction, and I shot photos for the auction last year, and did again for it this year. And part of that was some group picks of his, their maker's pick, which I think I was drinking last week, and then this Bulleit pick, and I'm drinking that now. You know, I've not done a video on this, but you know, for those folks who are in here, I don't feel like Bulleit picks sell out in a lot of places, and I don't have a ton of different 3 or 4 or 5 maybe Bulleit picks I've tried, but to me, one of the best present values on the market are Bulleit single barrel picks, and they've been fairly good. They have been supposedly debunked that it's not Four Roses, but it tastes pretty close.
Yeah,
but
like what could it?
But there's variants. There's variants in recipes. There's 10 recipes, just like Four Roses, and it's these nice mid. You know, they've proofed it to I think 104, I think. But they taste pretty rich, and they come in at like $55. I mean, come on, you can't, even if you could get a Four Roses in your area, it's $20 more than that now. Like it's a great
value.
It's a great deal.
I completely affirm what you're saying. I had one. I've only had one, tried one, but it was delicious. And there was a pick here done by a local grocery store a year plus ago that's still on the shelf. Plenty of it, so I could go get another one.
I got extras of my the one that I picked. If you want a different one, I can add it to your smoke wagon stash.
When these barrel picks of ours start hitting, you're about to get a much bigger stash until I can get down there and pick it up. Speaking of which, let's talk about that for a minute, because boy, do we have some news, which we talked a little bit about last week. But it's all fallen into place here.
Finally.
So finally, guys. So if you support us on Patreon, dang it, I don't have my bottle. Do you have your bottle of the corn?
Yeah, it's up here.
Okay, great.
Let me get.
So we've been working to get these picks in, right? We have that Middle West pick we've talked about since we did it in August, which we'll start there. That just got dumped, and it's probably barreled today or tomorrow, or bottled today or tomorrow. So the Middle West 4-grain Miquelon Reserve, which was delicious, is getting bottled this week, and then we'll go out, and then we just have to work with Blake on when we release that. What will be available before that is what Brian has. Brian, show the kind people. So this is from Dancing Goat. It's that 7-year corn whiskey finished in Spanish oak. We call it the Spaniard. That's cask strength, and it's delicious. It's smoky. It's sweet. It's barbecue sauce. It's got plenty of oak from that toasted and charred Spanish oak cask that it was finished in. And that is shipping, I think, as we speak. It's on its way to Sir Bulleit. So maybe next week.
So this is going to be the more
that's
recent.
That's going to be the first one. So that's going to be the next pick that's available. And there's only 150 bottles of that. Currently, we have 50 Patreon supporters. So who knows? Depending on how much the Patreon squad wants, if you guys are looking for access to these picks,
because right now you kind
of got to get into you kind of got to get into Patreon. As that community grows, we'll start with the top tiers and work our way down. But right now, just simply joining our Patreon community, there is a link down in the show notes below. That's the best way to get access to these picks. So that's it. That'll be available within the next 2 weeks, unless something goes horribly wrong. Then
I'm not going to talk about unless someone asks about it for us doing our review stuff.
Sure. We could definitely revisit that. I could run upstairs and get mine too. But next up will be this 4-grain Miquelon Reserve pick we did from Middle West, which we loved when we had it on site, and it spent 4 more months in a barrel. before getting dumped. So I actually asked for a bottle just to confirm. So Rudra said he would send me. Oh, I asked for a sample. He said he'd send me a bottle. I just want to taste it and make sure it's holding up to what I expected. Because I hate to release something, not be proud of it, obviously. Anyway, that should come, probably 3 weeks after this corn whiskey. Then, mid-December, we're going to be dropping the 8-year MGP bourbon from Dancing Goat, 21% rye. Fantastic. That will have the whole barrel. Don't know the yield of that yet, but guys, we're talking $65 for the corn whiskey, $65 for this 8-year cask strength MGP. Like that's the target MSRP. That's what's on record. So I don't think it's going to deviate from that. We'll see, where Blake puts it, but can't be more than 70. So yeah, Kyle says hype. Agreed. It's 100% hype, but it's 100% delicious. So it's the right kind of hype. And then after that, we've got this toasted rye. This rye that's Solera aged, currently finishing in a toasted cask, and we're going to revisit that after the first of the year, see how that toasting is coming along. And
Johnny Drama's got a good point here. We haven't mentioned that in a while, but
that's actually a good reminder.
Cam from Drums and Drams was on with us, and so what we are doing in the case of Middle West was already the barrel size was smaller, so the bottle yield is lower. Isn't that accurate? There's something
that is correct. Yeah, is a half barrel
or whatever it was. So it's a smaller allocation,
like 30 gallon, as opposed to 52.
We'll make sure that the cam's taken care of. But like we're gonna open it up to our team first. We will open it up to Cam's team, and then should there be stuff left over, as we normally do, we jump on these shows and we say, "Hey, here are the links. They're live for public, but public is also public." I don't know, man. I don't know that it's going to go beyond those two groups, but
I would agree that one.
But
yeah, I mean, we got 150.
You don't see a lot of Middle West picks go out there, so
true. And I mean, they're struggling with their bottling right now. They don't have access to a bottling line. They're doing it by hand. But 150 bottles of the Spaniard from Dancing Goat. And then, we're going to be in the 100 bottle yield for the Middle West. So we may have to put a limit 2 initially on that, for Nation. It's quite good, but I don't know that we'll blow through it. So I do think we'll have enough for both groups, but maybe just barely. Depends on how quickly people get on this wagon, because they're going to be sorry they missed out for sure.
Yep.
Then that 8-year MGP, then possibly the toasted rye. But then Brian and I were just talking about this before we went live. What we need to know after that is, particularly for Patreon members, what distillery would you like to see us pick from next? I'm set up at Driftless Glen here out of Wisconsin if we want to pull one from that squad, which we could very well do. But if there are particular requests, I mean, we'd like to hear those out, because we don't have to do Driftless Glen. Nothing's in writing. Right. So you let us know. But first, that's the business end of tonight. Good, exciting news though, for sure. We need to do our other bit though, and that is, did you pick up any bottles this week? If so, what were they?
Why don't you kick this one off?
Okay, well that's easy because I didn't pick anything up. I did. What I will say is I skipped out on Discovery Batch 6 from Bardstown. Because the whiskey's getting younger in that. I think the oldest whiskey in that's like 10 or 11 years, maybe a little more, but it's a lower percentage. And there's 7-year-old whiskey in it, and there's a decent amount of Tennessee whiskey in it. And for $130, given the change specs from like Discovery Batch 4, which was a banger, as we all know, as was Discovery Batch 3, I'm not in a rush to try or to buy that at 130 if I haven't tasted it. So I'm kind of learning from Frond and Discovery Batch 5 that you just it's going to be good. I don't doubt that, but is it worth the 130 to me? Where I'm at right now, no. So I passed on that, and then I'm trying to get the new FAE 02 I'm trying to get Wild Turkey 1. We've discussed this. Want to get E. Craig C921. All those are on my hit list, and I have not come across any of them yet.
C921 just dropped in Indiana right across the bridge here, but I've not seen it in Louisville yet.
Yeah, it's not in Wisconsin yet, although the Elijah Craig batches tend to come late. So we may not see C921 for, another month here. Who knows? The FAEO2 did drop here. Eric Sawyer got one. I think I mentioned that last week. He said he saw one yesterday and texted me if I wanted it, but I didn't see it until later, so that sucked. Missed it. He says he'll grab it tomorrow for me. Well, if it's still there, that's great. I've made a few liquor store stops this week and have not seen it anywhere. Consumer beverage, autos, Woodman's, chalking up a zilch. Kyle says he can send me a sample of C921. That'd be sick. What are your thoughts on it, Kyle? I'm curious.
Yeah, let's hear it, Kyle.
If folks have had C921, are we talking, is it more similar to like B521, A121, or are we talking about closer to B520, C920? Like
Matt Porter just did his review on it today too.
I haven't watched it yet. Yeah. Porkins says there's still A121 and B521 on the shelf, which means I bet we never see. That would suck. That would be a bummer for sure. William Wiley did pick up Disco 6. Well, yeah, man, you got everything I wanted to get, except I passed on Disco 6. Did you pop the Disco 6, Wiley? If so, what'd you think about it? Let's get this chat going. Tom says Porter liked it. Matt also really liked this Ferrand, though, which, again, I like too. It just maybe not as much as him or for different reasons, or I like it differently than he did. Kyle says off the rip, it was just okay. I'll get back to my house and taste it again. And Wiley did not yet pop Disco 6. So yeah, if anybody else has more feedback on C921 or Disco 6, that would be great to hear. Because if Disco 6 was great, I might regret passing on it. But with the Tennessee whiskey in it, I just have a hard time believing it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. All right. So I pass the baton to you. What, if anything, did you get this week?
No acquisitions. Nothing.
Wow. This is a first. This has got to be a first. That neither one.
Yeah,
of us
I even had to reference the spreadsheet. I went and looked at it and I said, now I will say, what day is today? This is wrong. This is wrong information.
It's Thursday.
This is wrong information on my spreadsheet. I did get some of this stuff is this is all within the last week. I've acquired bottles, but they're like pick stuff, right? It's the Dancing Goat
with your bourbon.
The Dancing Goat from you, or like that Makers, or the one I just started drinking, Bulleit. That's it. So I was yesterday, and I did get a bottle yesterday that I was drinking yesterday and today that I cannot talk about right now, but maybe in like 10 days, I'll be able to talk about and share. That's been pretty tasty, but
sick.
That's all I got. But yeah, nothing special. I'm here. We're anticipating antique collection drop, which I don't think is gonna resort in anything.
But you did well last year, so I believe in you.
What's up?
You did well last year with antique collection, so I believe in you.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, one of my stores that I got my William LaRue Weller from, I haven't been able to visit very often. I haven't been able to visit very often. And some hours changes and just inaccessibility. So I don't know if anything will happen with that. But I'm also waiting. Some stores got the Four Roses LE, but as happened with the 2020, I heard stores got it and I have not seen them. So that's kind of a bummer. I don't know that I'm going to come across any besides places that have them for, secondary prices already. And so now I'm curious to see what's happening with the Parker's Heritage toasted char wheat whiskey, which I watched Fred Minnick's review on that. I can't make out. He seemed to like it, but I can't make out if it's gonna like it or not, because whenever he talks about it being complex, I'm like, let's go, Fred. When you say complex, I know that I can tell that it's complex. He's talking about it being caramely, and like when he says it's dripping down the jawline, and I'm like, oh,
painful.
Give it to
me. It's so painful.
But yeah, but I can feel it. I can feel it in my mouth. I can feel it in my mouth when he said that. But then he was like, oh, and it's just loaded. He's like, I don't really get this ever with Heaven Hill, but it's just full of banana Fosters, banana pudding, banana bread. And I'm like, Fred, this sounds awful. Now, I will say, I'm not a banana hater. I love banana splits. I love banana bread. I love banana Laffy Taffy when most people don't.
Yeah, right. That's
I just typically don't like banana in a whiskey. It's a weird note, but if it could be done right, I would assume that the Parker's line can do it right. I'm assuming that a heavy char 11-year-old at 122 proof does add a little bit to that. Yeah, it doesn't suck too bad. So we'll see. But I mean, if it's just a banana bomb, I don't know, man.
TBD.
I don't know.
He
did bring up a really interesting point, especially when we do so many blinds. He went on a little rant about how you have to remember that it's a wheat whiskey. It's not a bourbon. It's not a bourbon. It's a wheat whiskey. Oh man, I almost had an impression like him. It's not a bourbon. It's a wheat whiskey.
There you go.
You have to consider the categorical placement of your spirits before you taste them. You need to understand where they're at categorically for you to have a good tasting with it. And I'm like, what does that mean when it comes to a blind?
Sure.
We don't consider categorical tasting. We consider if it's good or not.
Yeah, right.
That's what you need to consider. Are things good or bad depending on? And we think about this. You got to think about this with coffee too. You're like, oh, this isn't very good. And if someone's like, oh, but that's a Kona. That's a Kona coffee. You're like, holy crap. Well, it's not better than a washed Ethiopian, but it's the best Kona I've ever had. That's one of those interesting things. Which
you could buy coffee that way. We don't really buy coffee that way. We're like, is it good or not? And secondarily, we'll market the features. But if we don't like it, we don't buy it.
Yeah, and so I'm very curious where this whiskey, almost called it a bourbon, stands, because I can't tell if he's weighing it so heavily because it's up there with other wheat whiskeys I've had in my career, or is it a good bottle?
Time will tell. I'm hoping to at least be able to try that one at a bar.
He did not say marzipan anywhere.
Yeah, based on bananas and marzipan don't really go together. Real quick, I want to go back to somebody said related to Discovery Batch 6 that the specs sound very similar to like a standard barrel release. Who said that? I want to give you credit, whoever said it, because I thought the exact same thing. Oh, it's Porkins. Disco 6 sounds really close to barrel batch.
Get them, Porkins.
$50 more. So you are 100% correct. That is a fantastic point. A lot of this, this barrel bourbon, this is batch 26. It's a 9-year minimum age statement, and it's got Tennessee, Indiana, and Kentucky bourbons. And this whiskey cost me $70, and it's got a higher age statement than Bardstown Discovery Batch 6 would carry. So there's that. Which I'm going to taste this now, because this is good, but it's not $130 good. It's kind of like,
dude, I went
price point.
When I was digging around in my drawer in my basement the other day, I was going across just random samples, and I found Pursuit Series Episode 5, which I'm pretty sure is like a 14 or 15-year-old Dickel barrel.
Yeah,
and it was fire. Like, I don't try Dickel enough, and for all the newer products to have old Dickel juice, I don't know if it's just that run of that, that distillate age, that barreling age Dickel is not good. I don't know what it is, but that was a solid barrel for all this other stuff. And I'm not knocking Dickel just to do it. All the stuff that it's been in lately kind of blows, man. It's But that
Hold on
Pursuit
one
5 was pretty good. That's all I'll say.
All her. Sorry, real quick. I just got a text. I'm trying to get my wife in this art show, so it's all. Yeah.
Bring her on to the live stream. You guys gonna hash it out live?
Hold on.
Bring her on. Bring her on. Guys, if you want Drew to get his wife down here to hash this out live,
No,
I'm
I'm texting with the guy who runs the show. Price, make prints and stickers. This is range from a couple bucks to.
I was getting ready to ask about that, Eric. How that did. I didn't get a chance to watch that video. I'm also really curious to hear what his thoughts were popping the King of Kentucky. I just haven't had a chance to watch it. I saw it earlier today. I didn't watch it last night, but I'm curious to hear about it today.
There's so much.
It took me probably 7 hours to watch through the whole entire ADHD C921 review. I just had a bunch of things get in the way, and I'm trying to finish Squid Game.
I need to watch Squid Game. Haven't gotten there, so
I'm on the last
conversation.
episode. Everyone stop talking in the chat about it if you're going to. Just don't even. All right. Last episode. So.
Wow. So let's move on to our next bit. Tom he asked me to review this barrel bourbon. He also mentioned Bardstown Bottled and Bond, Old Bardstown Bottled and Bond, which we'll talk about next. So we'll start with this barrel bourbon batch and then talk about Old Bardstown Bottled and Bond. The point of the next 30 to 45 minutes is that you, when we call for them, tell us a whiskey that you want us to review, and we'll review it in the moment. So if you see it on the shelf behind me, or if you don't, you can shout it out and we'll share our thoughts on it. Or if Brian has it, he'll run and get it. But let's start with this barrel batch 26. So this would have been a 2020 release, I'm pretty sure. 112.64 proof. Blend of Tennessee, Kentucky, and Indiana bourbons. Minimum of 9 years. Really creamy, and I like that. Cashew butter kind of creaminess. I mentioned when I opened this that it had a lot of orange. Now, it's not Flintstone Vitamin E. If you're looking for it, you can tell, it's probably Dickel that's delivering that orange, and I think that's true. It's kind of orange peely, but then there's enough really nice kind of rice spice that gets delivered, I think, by the Kentucky, Indiana, and enough age on it where it's pretty well balanced. I've been progressing slowly through this because it doesn't knock my socks off, but it's a really nice pour with a decent amount of orange in it. So I'm not sad at all about this purchase, but I will say that I passed on a lot of barrel bourbon since then. I've had 2 different batches and enjoyed them both, but they're getting more expensive, and Dickel's in pretty much all of it now. So when Barrel started, they had a lot more access to well-aged distillates. The age statements are starting to come down, prices going up, which is what you're seeing with everybody who sources. Like, you're seeing a lot of 5-year-old sourced whiskey for $80 to $100, which is absurd. It's just tough. And most of it's not good. Like, it's not good enough to charge $80 to $100 for. A 5-year-old whiskey should be less than $50. It should never be more than $50, unless it is unbelievably good or has some level of finishing involved, which will add cost. Our Starlight picks were more than $50. They were 5 years old. They were both finished products and quite good. And that, come on, that Double Oak Dry. So that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts on this barrel batch. Sam Bardstown was talking about that earlier. So to me, if you like orange, it's buy a bottle, which you probably can't get batch 26, but it's probably a bottle. If you don't like an orange note, it's a bar. But definitely worth trying. All right, so let's talk about the second one Tom mentioned, which was Old Bardstown Bottled and Bond. So why don't you kick us off with your thoughts on that? Because I don't have a bottle, but I've had multiple bottles, and I'm happy to share my thoughts.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I don't feel incredibly secure in talking about it because it has been a little bit since I had it. I have very fond memories of Old Bardstown Bottled and Bond. Had a good dudes hang out around the fire in my backyard to a bottle of it, and I remember it fondly. It's one of those ones that I feel like is like a cocktail, but I say that about a lot of Willett products. It's kind of like a old fashioned in a glass. It's got some sweet corn / caramel notes. It's got a little bit of that cherry note to it, and it is, to me, arguably one of the better Bottled and Bond products that you can get on the shelf. But again, that's about all I have to say about it without kind of reaching or stretching.
Sorry about that. Just muting so you don't have to hear me blow the horn on the train. I'm just trying to clear these out. I don't think I'm getting a cold, but I feel a little congested. Bad allergies. Tom Lynch said, well, first, I think Evan's right on point here. I think this is a great rule. $10 per year is a really, solid place to start. Tom says Old Bardstown Bottled and Bond at $20 is a hitter. Agreed. Full of flavor, not refined, kind of sharp, very spicy. I agree. A lot of interesting fruit notes as well, as you mentioned. But in the $20 price point, I think it's a miracle that that's all they charge. And it's a fun thing that, you can't get anywhere. Certainly can't get it up. It's Kentucky only, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty rad. Nicholas with an interesting one here. I have not had this. I know it's brand new, but 40 to 45 Kentucky Owl. So I'm out on Kentucky Owl 100%. Like, now Dixon left, it just seems like they're going to leverage that brand into bullcrap whiskey. So, if they're producing, I mean, they charged out the butt for, what was that one? The Kentucky
Confiscated.
Owl. Yeah. And that was a very fine standard bourbon.
And don't get me started on the one in the box.
Butt. Oh yeah, right. The Dry State release, $1,000 for like
no information, just $1,000.
Yeah, you don't have an age statement, and the proof point was relatively low too. It wasn't even cask strength. So anyway, I have zero expectations for this wise person release. I think it's just leveraging the brand for probably subpar whiskey, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Here's a request. Old Ezra 7 from Monosyllabic. Old Ezra 7, I was sold it out of the owner's office at my local store like it was a special catch for 70. Later found out it's 40 MSRP. What's fair? And can you give me a gist of a review? Hey, no problem. I have a bottle actually unopened, but I've had it multiple times. The MSRP is not 40 anymore. It did debut at 40, and then it was 50, and I think 60 is actually the suggested retail price currently. 7-year cask strength Kentucky bourbon for $60. Value-wise, it's fine. To me, it's not. It's kind of the worst Heaven Hill profile in my mind. It's the most Beam-like profile that comes out of Heaven Hill in my mind. Now, it's a Lux Row brand, so it's not Heaven Hill, but it's still likely that the whiskey from that comes from the source contract between Lux Row and Heaven Hill, at least for 2 more years. So my thoughts on it are it's fine. It's very, very nutty. It's a little bit funky. It's a good whiskey. So last time I had it, I killed the bottle on the golf course. It was 45 degrees and rainy, and we were golfing, and it tasted really good that day. But something like that, where you're not like sitting down to really evaluate a whiskey, it's probably best in that kind of environment. Because it's not going to win blinds, I'll tell you that. Similar to Rare Breed. I like Rare Breed. I like Old Ezra 7. But I'm not huge on Rare Breed. Like, I'm huge on Russell's Reserve single barrels. So, yeah. It's like what Rare Breed is to Russell's. That's Old Ezra 7 to, like, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. That's my review.
Yep.
What are your
I'm not a
thoughts,
fan of
man?
Old Ezra 7. Old Ezra, like you said, I think Old Ezra 7 is the type of bottle that initially, it isn't the bottle. The profile is the type of Heaven Hill bottle that initially made me think that I don't like Heaven Hill.
Oh yeah. I've had some
It's,
Henry McKenna 10s that kind of tasted like it, and
to me, it's way hot.
it is.
I think it drinks really hot and nutty, and I know there are a lot of people who like it, but to me, 7 years is not, it's not a premium price point. It's not a 7 years is not a premium age. For a Heaven Hill product.
Yeah.
Price point.
I mean, Elijah Craig
in that same,
is aged longer than 7 years, generally speaking.
Yeah, and it's $30.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm much lower proof, but
yeah, correct. But then you got McKenna, which is cheaper, and lower proof, but age stated 10-year bottle and bond. So
yeah, I will say
McKenna's not necessarily my always go, but I will say that Old Ezra is definitely what would make me turned off to a lot of whiskey similar.
I will take Henry McKenna over Old Ezra 7 every day. And you should be able to find it cheaper. But you didn't get taken to the cleaners at 70, and it is kind of hard to find. I'll say that too. It's not readily available. All right. Who wants to throw out another one? So monosyllable, you already threw one, so I'm going to skip your other one, but it's a good recommendation. We might come back to that, but anybody
else?
Of
dudes, I want to say that Michael, and then affirmed or double suggested by Tom, was the 78 early times, and I'm not going to go pour some.
The one we tasted.
No, I don't remember. I think we had 76.
The big barrel you had. Yeah, we had the 76
it was the
bicentennial.
It was the handle that I have, and here's what's interesting about the handle that I got, 78, right? And Michael knows this because Michael has had some too.
Michael was on the Starlight pick with us, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. All right, sweet. What's up?
This
Michael?
is the interesting thing when it comes to dusty whiskey, is that you almost always are taking a risk or a gamble with what you might get. And this this jug that I got is a glass container with a plastic screw top lid. Plastic-ish. I don't know. It's not, maybe not plastic. It's hard, but it also had a built-in pourer. That's something that they used to have. The little old Wellers used to have them too. The little plastic pourer piece in there. And if you don't know the whole history of the barrel or the bottle or how it was stored, or you had it or someone had it and stored it, you just never know. I'm going to assume that at some point in time, this bottle was spent on its side, not because there was any leaking or mess up on the tack strip stuff. There wasn't, but there is a perfumed mechanical plasticky note that runs throughout it. Now, once I pulled out the pourer, it went away. So you could still tell that there's a perfuminess or something to the juice that comes from something not exactly natural, be it the air, be it the materials to the bottle. It just happens sometimes. And I've also had an old 70, it was a 72 or 73 turkey decanter that was way perfumey, like as if it was in a room that was just sprayed with perfume. It was not good. It I don't know if anyone has ever accidentally gotten air freshener or cologne or some sort of spray in their mouth when they've been in like the bathroom or a powder room or something. You get that flavor when I was drinking that turkey, that like, I can't get this out. It's so strong. And it wasn't the early times is not that bad. It is a slightly watery caramel, 86 proof. It's kind of rich. It has some interesting spice notes, a little bit of that perfuminess, but the first couple of sips that we had, it was really kind of funky. And not necessarily in a good way. And it is tamed out a little bit, but the bicentennial, And the bicentennial was likely ceramic decanter with a
Yeah.
corked lid.
Yeah.
And so, it just shows different storage of different things. And it was a couple years different, but different
Yeah.
storage can make a humongous difference.
A
But
friend
that
brought
bicentennial
over.
was fantastic.
Yes, it was. A friend brought over a sample of 150-month-old Beam. I think I may have mentioned this on the live last week. I have just a touch left of it for you. But I think it's got cork taint. I've never had cork taint, but I'm guessing that's what's in here because the front is amazing. It's rich and thick and like motor oil texture. But then you get this mushroomy, mentholy finish that's it sends shivers down your spine. It's like it was great, and then the finish is just like really rough. And I don't think that was the whiskey. I think it has to do with some cork influence. It's because it's kind of woody and cork. If you ever just like suck on a cork, not that you should, nor would you, but if you hypothetically did, it's not a great experience. All right. Other requests for reviews. Monosyllabic is just like dropping them all day. How about the 2 new bottled and bond offerings from Redwood? I've had a few Redwood offerings, but no bottled and bond stuff from them. I tasted probably 3 different of their products as I was going through that craft whiskey series of tastings, which was awesome. A lot of fun. Did some recap videos. $87 each. Nicholas says that's what he was going to be charged. Yeah, I'm out on a bottled and bond at $87 unless it comes with a 8-year higher age statement. That's ridiculous. Brian, have you had a chance to try the Jack Daniel's 10 years? Jug throws that out.
No, I've seen it. I've not tried it yet.
No, me neither. You guys are throwing these really obscure ones, which is fine. And if you're looking for me to taste something, it's almost never right after it comes out because it takes so long. Like Discovery Batch 6 is kind of unique in that somehow it ended up here first, which is kind of cool. Nicholas said those Redwoods are 5 years. But generally, if it's a new whiskey, it takes forever to get here if it gets here at all.
Porkins asking about Kentucky Spirit. Porkins, most of the Kentucky Spirits that I've had, I've actually loved, and I personally like them more than the Russells. I think that they're now, granted, the proof is a little lower.
It's 101 still, though,
but it's not that much lower. But I think the Kentucky Spirits have a sweeter profile, not overly sweet, but I think it's a little sweeter. And most of the Russells I've had are more on the spicy side. And for that reason, I generally would lean more towards Kentucky Spirits. For some reason, most of the Kentucky Spirits I have had seem a little bit more funky, a little bit more, musty, and maybe it's just happen chance or whatever. There's no maybe it's just whatever that expression is.
Happens.
Maybe it just happenstance. Maybe it just is what it is. But I don't notice that. I don't notice that profile with Russell's Reserve on like nearly any of them. And the Kentucky Spirits, are nice, and they're pretty cheap too.
Yeah, I mean they're about what Russell's Reserve costs. The age on those
the
is
old
nice.
bottles.
I never bought any of those.
It's so good.
Because I was a doubter. I was a skeptic. I was a turkey theist. That's not what I'm going for. Anyway, I am definitely in on Kentucky Spirit as well. Really rich profile, mouthfeels on point. So I'm a buy. Like I would never think twice about getting a bottle of Kentucky Spirit. If you want a good bourbon, safe bet. Monosyllabic may just win most enthusiastic award tonight. What would you consider the top offering from 1792? That's a great question. It's a fantastic question. I haven't explored beyond the small batch, but the price seems right for most, if not all of them. This is tough because it depends on the batch for me. Like I've had foolproof batches that I liked more than other foolproof batches. I've had single barrels that I like more than other single barrels. Some I'm like, oh, it's pretty good. Some I'm like, this is not that good. So I think your best bet is a store pick of either the single barrel or the full proof. I don't really like the bottled and bond. That's kind of Banana City. And the single barrel is just harsh and drinks way hotter than its proof. So I'm going to point you toward a good full proof pick or a single barrel. If I'm just buying off the shelf and I have the option between the full proof or the single barrel, I'll probably pick up the single barrel. You're not much of a 1792 guy at all, Brian. Do you own any 1792?
I finished the last foolproof pick that I got. So I don't have it. I don't dislike 1792. I just don't seek it out. The foolproofs did have this kind of like young, youthful heat for the most part, but I have had some good ones as well. And there's some expressions I'm not super familiar with. I've never had the sweet wheat, and I've never had the port finished. So I can't speak on those, but I personally did like the 12-year.
Yeah. So I actually have the 12-year. It's unopened, but I tasted it at a bar, and I wasn't even considering that because it's very difficult to get. It's their antique collection style.
But still,
now,
that is,
said, the price point is only $60.
He did say what was the top offering from the 1792
yeah, probably
line,
the 12-year.
I would say, I mean, I've not had the, what is it, 225th or whatever.
Nobody
there's
has.
Some things, I don't know. I don't keep up with them enough to know what some of these things are, but I will say they did a single barrel trifecta pick or something at, I want to say they released it at the distillery. Maybe they released it at Kroger, but I think it was the distillery, and it was a single barrel expression of the 12-year, and that was fantastic. I thought it was really delicious. It's probably my favorite 1792 thing that I've tried.
Here's a good question. Sweet wheat, if I had it. I have had it. I've been able to fortune into multiple bottles of sweet wheat, which the secondary, my opinion, obviously this is all about our opinions, but the secondary value on 1792 sweet wheat is crazy because it's not that good. It is fine, but it's kind of like Weller Special Reserve. Like, that's the closest thing to me in terms of flavor profile. It's not that rich. It is not very spicy. I guess it's smooth. And so if that's what you're into, it's decent amount of honey, but not oak. You don't get interesting baking spices. You don't get a rich mouthfeel. So it's kind of thin on the mouthfeel for me. So, I traded the last two bottles I got for the Stag Junior, the unopened Stag Junior I have. So if I see them on the shelf again, now that I am out on secondary market, I'm leaving them. That's my take. Weller 107 definitely over Sweet Wheat for sure. I know that those were a comparable trade, but my take on Sweet Wheat is bar or pass. I think it's overblown. I don't know why it's so hyped.
I got a chance to do a 1798. We did a foolproof pick in March of last year.
Who'd you do it with?
It was a group called it was a group called Sacred Sippers, which is some friends of mine in the Northern Kentucky area. It's like a little faith-based bourbon group.
Nothing like terrible Christian names for things.
I should add you to it. I should add
do
you
it.
To the
yeah,
group.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But anyway, when we were there, they had started pulling barrels from a different rickhouse, and to me personally, the barrel I liked the most had the most Willett-like profile. It was a little bit more floral. It was a little bit more like green than that banana-y profile, but the rest of the team didn't pick it. I found the store that did pick that barrel, and they said they would save me a bottle, and they didn't. So I don't remember the stats on it. But that's all that to say is I don't try 1792 enough to know what the progression of the picks from that warehouse have been, if they've continued to hit, or if that was just a nice barrel. But it was definitely a welcomed, a welcomed change in profile that I feel like would make me a 1792 drinker if I was able to have more things like that.
A couple good throwouts here. Commenter McComment Face says, "What's your favorite Willett product?" And by Willett,
Ooh.
here's what he says. I mean, regular Willett, not purple top.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going Noah's Mill. Big flavor. It's hot. It's hot. But we mentioned this when we did our live stream where we said, "What's the deal with Willett?" Go back and watch it. It's a good watch. Um, and we both said, I think, Noah's Mill for the standards because it's pretty much barrel proof. It's packing a lot of flavor, sweetness, spice, caramel, cinnamon. You get some rye up in there. You get some orange and some cherry. Like it's just a lot of flavor going on in that sucker at a reasonable price point. So that's what I would go with.
Yeah, but the ryes aren't purple top, bro.
Yeah. I mean,
You could throw
some of
the
these
rye.
4-year ryes are pretty killer,
Someone,
but it is
I'm
the
just
family
joking with you,
estate. Yeah.
but
Okay.
one of the so one of the folks had mentioned it in the chat earlier, but it is also a super good product. I'm changing from what you were saying that we talked about last time. I actually really like the Old Bardstown Estate, which is, I want to say, 101 proof.
Yeah.
Old Bardstown, and it's solid. I mean, I don't remember what its price point is. Maybe it's $30.
No, it's reasonable. Yeah, it's probably maybe a little more than that. But the last one I had was when I was in Kentucky 2018. Yeah, I think fall 2018 I picked up a bottle. It took me a while to drink. I was not feeling it at the time. Granted, I don't really remember that much now about it.
Mhm.
So I think I used it a lot for mixers, actually. So even early on in my journey, I was not jamming super hard on it. But there's also probably a decent amount of volatility in the flavor of batches from Willett, given their scope and the fact that not that many barrels go into each batch of their product. So maybe I just had an off batch.
Yep.
There were a couple other chats going crazy now. Squad, if you're just joining us, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We're trying to give our feedback on certain bottles, bottlings, batches, etc. That people want to know more about. Last question was regarding Willett. Logie Wonk, I wish I knew the meaning of some of these names, or maybe I don't, but asked about Virginia bourbons and what do we think or who do we like. So out of Virginia, there's only 2 brands that I'm familiar with off the top of my nugget, and that would be Smooth Ambler, which is West Virginia. So maybe that counts. And then, dang it, the Buffalo Trace one, Bowman, which is basically Buffalo Trace aged in what I think is West Virginia too. So maybe neither one of those count. But Smooth Ambler, I talked about related to disappointing whiskeys. Contradiction, I think, is one I called out. But pretty much everything from Smooth Ambler that they made that they didn't source is disappointing. But Bowman is a sleeper and still available. So I think Bowman is good. It's not amazing, but it's a really good Buffalo Trace substitute. If you have other Virginia distilleries in mind, let me know. Tom is giving me flack for saying that West Virginia is not Virginia. Well,
I mean,
it's
it's
like if you said
not.
Dakota, yeah, well, of course, yeah. I guess that's fine. It's east of Kentucky. If you have other distilleries, let me know. But I don't think I've had anything else from either of the Virginias that weren't what I just said. Old Elk. I had one taste of Old Elk recently. Don't remember where I was. But it was kind of young AF. That's what I'm remembering. Like surprised because I was told like the feedback on Old Elk has been that it is good. Really solid for a craft distillery. Greg Metz was at MGP. He's now at Old Elk, so apparently brought a lot of the MGP knowledge. Also, Old Elk sourced a lot of MGP, youngish MGP, but should make for a decent transition. That said, what I had from Old Elk, which was the Ride Bourbon, I think, I wasn't jamming on.
I have an open Old Elk here. It's weeded. I think it's the more malty or malted bourbon or whatever it is. And I actually got 2 unopened picks just right over here, 2 weeded profiles. So if somebody wants me to pop a weeded, or they want me to pour and try and describe this malty one, I can we can actually do some live review stuff. We've mainly been talking, but I can. I will say this. Maybe it's better if I explain it. There's some things that aren't my profile, but that doesn't mean that explaining it won't be more of someone else's profile.
Sure. Well, why don't you give us the one you have open? Let's start there.
Okay.
So this doesn't become an Old Elk episode. We'll after that. So try and give us the 5 minutes.
This will be funny,
Brian.
though.
We've
This
got
will be
5
funny.
minutes
So
on this one.
This is a group. This is a local group of mine that did this pick. So it's here's Old Elk, but I got a bottle of this free because I designed the sticker. This is the one that you guys probably saw.
Oh yeah, it's a killer design.
Elk Mertili. So
fantastic.
I did change it from the version you probably saw because I realized.
Yeah, no, you sent me this one too.
Because the first version was actually a moose, and people are like, "Oh, that's so funny! It's ironic." I'm like, I didn't pay attention, but one of my game warden buddies was like, that's actually a moose, right? I was like, no clue, not a clue, and I was going to leave it, but I decided to do it. So this is the straight bourbon whiskey. That doesn't tell us anything. Let me see if it says it's 5 years old. Does anyone know much about the Old Elk recipes? Because it's not weeded. So if someone knows,
yeah. So Greg basically ripped off the MGP mash bill.
Is it 51 barley or something like that? I don't know.
So you said that's malty, but does it taste malty, or is it a high malt mash bill?
I don't know. Someone tell me what some of these mash bills are that they do, and I'll just talk about it. So, to me, the nose is better than I remember.
I'm gonna Google Old Elk mash bills right now while you talk.
The nose tastes slightly grainy, slightly malty, and then some caramel.
Oh, wait.
As well.
Hold on. Mash bill is 51 corn, 34 malted barley, 15 rye.
Okay. What else is there?
Well, that's probably the one you're holding. No.
Okay.
I'm gonna wait for it. The wheated one is 51 corn, 45 wheat, 4 barley. That high malt may be their only rye bourbon.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. So they don't. So, it doesn't look like they have a high rye. Maybe that's why I didn't like it.
This smells clean, like almost like fresh linen, like clean air, like something that would be like cool air scented. You know what I mean? You got to know, like at a candle store or like a Yankee Candle or something that's like cool breeze. It's that mixed with caramel, mixed with like 3-day-old birthday cake.
What a weird
mixed with like a little bit of maltiness. Okay, I'm gonna go into some Palate here.
While you think about that, Matt Schwand asked a question: are we going to do stickers for any of our upcoming picks? We haven't planned on that, partially because we don't have them on hand. So, like, one thing we could potentially do is ask Blake, like, we could send him stickers to send out with the bottles. Some companies, like Four Roses now, they make you sign a thing when you do a pick that you're not going to molest the bottle with a sticker. And, I think the stickers are cool. The Old Elk sticker that Brian did is cool. They're fun, but it's kind of about the whiskey too. But the stickers are fun, so I won't rule it out. But we currently don't have that in the plans. I also could get Dance and Go on our bourbon. If we could design a sticker, they might throw a special sticker on there for us. So that might be worth asking for.
I won't lie. This is definitely better than I remembered. Sorry, my wife came down, and it's 10 o'clock, and I could have sworn she would have been asleep an hour and a half ago. So that took me by surprise. This tastes like, initially, there's a wave of like toasted oats, honey nut Cheerios, a little bit of caramel, then like freshly baked banana bread, and it kind of lingers on that banana bread note. It's caramel and banana. It's slightly chewy, but it's not overly viscous. Pleasant. It's like vanillas and caramels, a little bit of some heat or some spice, and then some honeyed grains with a lingering fresh banana bread with but it's the banana bread with walnuts in there. Not an enormous fan of that, but the walnut does typically complement the banana bread flavor. That is what this Old Elk tastes like. It still is a little bit youthful for something I personally would regularly drink. That heat and that youthfulness, it's just, I don't know why. Why would I go to that if I don't have to regularly? So For the initial question, I know a lot of people who are really big on the wheated profile, but
From
that's
Old
not
Elk.
the one. Yeah, and that's not the one that I have open. So that's my description of this high
malt ride bourbon. All right,
pretty good.
Sick.
Pretty good.
Not bad. Kyle's been dropping his notes on C921 Elijah Craig barrel proof in the chat. Says it's fine, but tastes a little younger, a little nuttier than C920, but similar fruity notes. But C920 is such a banger. Like it's hard to beat that one. So if that is a good one to compare to, though, because if you're like, it's pretty good, but not quite as good as C920, you're still in pretty good company. So we had somebody ask. They said they had some Starlight stuff. I think Jeff. It was Jeff. Said had some Starlight stuff. Some of the finished stuff. Some of it's great. Some of it not so much. Well, Jeff, we had done 2 picks actually from Starlight. I don't know if you're new to the channel, but we had done a apple brandy finished bourbon, 5-year-old, and then we had done a double oak rye, and we tasted. And Brian has tasted a lot more from Starlight than I have, but that day we tasted, 20 some barrels of different stuff. And yeah, they do a lot of interesting stuff, and some of it's great and some of it's weird and some of it still tastes young. So, if you're asking for a general review of Starlight, a lot of potential, some killer finishing stuff. The distillate's generally pretty good. And when they start popping off 8-year-old bottles, it's going to be pretty sick. Other specific bottle requests for us to review. We can probably spend 5 to 10 more minutes on this before we get into round 5 of the blind whiskey
Someone had
battle.
asked, I don't think it's what you just addressed. Someone had asked, do either of you have a favorite American single malt?
None of them. I have not had one that really blew me away. And I like scotches. I had a couple of them, but none of them. So ASW, I think I had something from them in the blind whiskey journey. Some out of Florida too. Then there's that one up in Washington, Westland, maybe. Anyway, nothing has blown me away. So I don't have any American single malts that I like or that I've gone back to or wanted to buy a bottle of. So that's me.
I'm not.
But if you want Scotch recommendations, I'm happy to give you some of those.
Well, you might be able to help me with this, Drew, and actually anyone in the chat might be able to help me. I am planning a trip for me and my wife to go to Scotland next year. Fantastic. And in April, hopefully. And I still don't know if I like Scotch yet, because I don't believe that I like peated Scotches. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Most Scotches are a little too low proof for me. I don't have a problem with proof. I have a problem with lack of viscosity. That's what I have a problem with. So if it's low proof but has good mouthfeel, okay, I'm up for some recommendations. What my request is for anyone who is a Scotch nerd or a Scotch distillery nerd or maybe a Scotland nerd,
Okay.
where should I try to get into? Because there's a ton of distilleries, and I don't really know where specifically to go. I don't know what juice to specifically look for. When I was talking about scotches, one of my buddies was like, dude, don't even look for scotches. Look for bourbons that are exported.
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
might
oh,
find
I
some
guess
good
that's
stuff there
true.
for that.
But
that said, I hear
I
that
wouldn't
that
mind
market's
finding a
getting kind of
nice,
picked through.
I wouldn't mind having a nice older like port or some sort of bear
Barrel
you know
aged.
what I'm talking about. Barrel aged Scotch at barrel strength. And I hear that you can get barrel strength ones at distilleries much easier than you can in the US.
Yeah, you need to. So a couple I'd point you to. Dalmore does a lot of really interesting rich finishes. Balvenie does all kinds of stuff, and they do barrel strength bottlings at the distillery. So Balvenie is a pretty good stop. And neither one of those is peated. Although Balvenie does do some peated barrel finishing stuff. We're losing watchers by the minute as we talk about Scotch. Those two I think stand out to me as ones that
we could talk later about it.
We can get offline. But yeah, if you guys have more distilleries you recommend, if you're a Scotch person, drop it in the comments or in the chat here for
help me plan out my trip to bring Scotch back to me and Drew to drink.
Sawyer here with the fire recommendation. Take the golf clubs, which Eric did ask, do we have a favorite Irish whiskey? Redbreast 12 is the only one that I think is like, oh, that's good. I think Irish whiskey in general is just so boring. So boring. Like very limited finishing, generally speaking, compared to like a Scotch. And it's just barley in used casks. And I mean, it's what you drink to get drunk. That's my thoughts on Irish whiskey. And I wouldn't recommend drinking to get drunk. Ow. What the heck? I just had this like inflammation. I wonder if I have like arthritis in my knuckles, because periodically I'll just get this massive like weird pain. Anyway, I'm out on Irish whiskey in general, but Redbreast 12, particularly the cask strength version, is not bad. All right. Any other last requests for reviews here before we swap over to our blind from Porkins? Porkins, thanks a lot, dog. Appreciate it. You're a hero.
Cheers, Porkins.
Kyle's saying that C921 is pretty dang oaky, actually, from Elijah Craig. He did say younger, but now he's saying like it's got plenty of oak. So, yeah, I'm curious. I do want to try that. And Kyle, if you want to get me a sample in the mail, I will send you some more samples as well, because I would love to try it before I have to buy a bottle. That would be amazing.
Same.
So I'm not above asking you to send me a sample of that. Monosyllabic says could be a neuropathy. I think that's how you say it. Neuropathy condition. I have all kinds of conditions, mostly undiagnosed. I diagnosed myself. I'm not really. I try and stay off WebMD because I panic, as do most people when they read WebMD. Christopher M asks if I've gotten my hands on 2021 batch 3 Booker's Bardstown batch. I don't really taste Booker's. I have Booker's 2020 batch 2, and Booker's is fine for me. Like periodically, I want something with the big nut, as they say, and then I'll pull out Booker's when I just want to like try and dissolve my teeth. But it's not really a profile that I long for, so I don't really collect them. So no, unfortunately, I don't have that one. I'm sorry. Terrence asked, what do we think of the Rebel and Ezra cask strengths offerings? So Ezra 7 or the barrel picks? Because we did have somebody in a blind gave us an Ezra barrel pick. I think it was actually Aaron. And it was good. Enjoyed it. The Rebel, I have not had any of those picks, but they're probably hit or miss. Like a young weeded from Heaven Hill is going to be pretty hit or miss. Maybe really funky. Maybe some cleaner and sweeter. I'm a big fan of Rebel Yell 10. Like, I want to get another bottle of that because that was a solid weeded bourbon. And I went through multiple, probably 3 bottles of that because I used to be able to get it here on the regular for $60. No longer can do that. I didn't know what I had till it was gone. But who knows? It might show up again in droves. All right, let's get into this blind because we're at 9:11 already. Y'all, thanks for playing along with us. You seem to enjoy this bit, so we will probably do it again. When we don't have an agenda or a big topic to unpack, maybe we'll do, you name it, we review it on the regular. Now we're going to turn the page over into this 4 whiskey blind. And it seems like Porkins provided us with questions. So we may play his game. We'll definitely play his game. We'll see if we need to add anything. I haven't opened this yet. And we have 4 whiskey samples to taste through here. So I'm going to open up the game. And remember, if you've been following along, it is 2-2. So I won the first one. Brian won.
Excuse me, guys.
Round 2 and 3, and then I won last round. Disclaimer: Brian wasn't feeling well last week, so looks like this will also be our answer sheet. So this is delightful, and he, like Eric Sawyer, has given us a lot of. So I'll just read it. For number 1, this does change slightly as we go, and he is also given us a clue. So sample 1 is bourbon, sample 2 is bourbon, sample 3 is whiskey, sample 4 is whiskey. Question for sample 1, is the proof over or under 120 points? And we get a point if we get it right. Is the age over or under 3 years? We get a point if we get it right. State of distillation, 2 points. Distillery, 2 points. Bottle is 3 points. Great. This is going to be a fun game. Ooh, that's dirty-ish glass. Sometimes my glasses don't get clean, or they're just foggy in the dishwasher. That's frustrating. I don't like that.
My buddy. I gave my buddy. I recently did a review on the old Fitzgerald 11 year, and I gave that bottle back to Michael, who let me use it for the review. But I did actually just get a buddy who let me borrow the Rebel 10 because I was wanting to do a side by side.
Nice.
But I don't have it anymore, so I might just try and do it based off of memory, or I might have to ask and see if I can borrow it back again.
Monosyllabic, I'll hit you with a just piece of feedback here. I would go with the cast strength. I mean, I like 46, but I think out of the 2, I would go the cast strength. Either one are good, and $40 is a good value. That's my take. Brian's less of a maker's guy.
Yeah.
All right.
My bud.
Y'all talk amongst yourselves as we break this apart.
Oh, I gotta pour it. That would help.
Yeah. Man, I feel a little congested. Maybe, but my left nostril feels like it's going to be my better nostril.
Your left nostril or your love nostril?
My left one.
My love nostril.
Performing at a higher level.
All right, Nathan, let's go.
Cheers, Nathan.
Cheers, Nathan. We'll keep going. Tom, I do have a sample of the Rebel 10. I had given back the old Fitz 11 years now. I can't actually do the side by side.
The questions are going to be tough on this one again as we process. And we'll talk through it before we give our final guesses, but we'll write them down first. You guys know the rules. 1 sip. Everyone knows the rules. Is the proof over or under 120? Is the age over or under 3 years? What's the state of distillation? Can we guess the distillery and then guess the bottle? And I feel like we're going to struggle tonight. Porkins is maybe sending us for a ride here. Over or under 3 years? It's so hard to tell age sometimes. Really hard to tell. I've had some older, like 7-year-old whiskeys that tasted so grainy and young. And then I've been surprised by some things as young as 2 years.
Yep.
Also, when you're talking about young whiskey, the proof is tough because they can be pretty hot. So yeah, this one feels like we're going to be
Eric,
kind of
this was
shooting in the dark.
My go-to lately has been pineapple.
Nice.
Pineapple. It tastes like a pina colada to me. So I drink them.
Man, I'm just stuck. I'm stuck out of it. I can't get out of the gate on this whiskey. Gosh. Yeah. Eric, I did not take a flask with me trick-or-treating, but I did take a bottle of, or I took early times because there was hot cider there and hot chocolate. And squad, let me just tell you that bourbon is the perfect addition to both hot chocolate and cider. So I was a hero, as you could expect, as I usually am when I go to parties, bringing bourbon. So just 10 out of 10 would recommend, but it was early times. Porter,
I had
dude, glad to see
mine
you.
full of that
you.
Bulleit pick. I think
We wondered where you were. Got a new freaking Keurig today, America. Coffee bro. That is not what my shirt says, but now I want to get a shirt that says coffee bro. We had these made for all of our employees. I'm not like, I don't just make coffee. I'm a freaking coffee pro. So that's why we did, but I like coffee bro. I like that a lot. And I might just take like a bleach pen, just complete the B right on my
coffee bro.
My right breasticle here. Okay, so we have to finish tasting this dang whiskey. I'm just going to start going with guts here. Dang it! No. Cuss.
I'm writing down a random state. I wrote it in the wrong column. I'm assuming state of distillation. He means the state it was distilled in, right?
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that hurt. Okay. I got to pour a little bit more, but I think I've kind of found my way here.
It makes one of us.
I just shot stuff like out my nose. Oh, so last night I mentioned I was on the couch watching golf stuff and drinking bourbon. And at one point I took a sip and it went straight into my lungs. And I thought I was going to die. Like, I just completely down the wrong pipe. And my goodness, like, that is so. Have you ever done that where you really it really went down the wrong pipe with a cast strength bourbon? Oh my word. I'm just like over the coffee table. Everybody else was in bed. Just like my mouth was producing so much spit, like just running out of my mouth as my lungs are on fire. And I'm just like, yeah. So I survived. Thankfully, it was miserable. I made it. We're here. I recovered, but I felt like my throat was all here. That's a great point. Tom says Keurig is to me as golf clubs are to Tom. That's true.
Oh, that's funny.
Very true. Yeah. Oh. Okay, I've got it. I'm in. Let me know when you're ready.
I mean, I'm ready. I have no clue what this is. So
I've thought it out, but we'll see if I'm right or wrong. So you said you're ready. You wrote it down, your answers.
yeah.
Okay, all right. So here's my thinking. It's hot. It is hot.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's spicy. Got a lot of decent flavor. Has some sweetness. But it also has some grain. So it's hot. It's got some grain, which is why I'm struggling on proof and age, because it could be something like the Still Austin Cast Strength, which is 2 years old, has a decent amount of sweetness, a touch of usefulness, but it's hot. But it is over 120 proof too, I think, or maybe it's right at that. So I'm guessing it's youngish, but the spiciness leads me to believe it's of a certain distillery, but I'm not thinking it's more than 6 years old. But I don't think it's crazy young either. So I'd be surprised if it's less than 3 years. Do you have any thoughts to share before we share our answers?
This it's tricky because the nose is youthful and the palate.
Yeah. Less youthful than the nose.
It's hot and it tastes, I think it's less than 3 years because it tastes like White Dog. But if you sit on it for a little bit, it tastes like it has some maturity, which throws me off.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you Kentucky chew it. But because it tastes straight up like White Dog to me at first, I'm going to assume that it drinks above its proof right now. But I also couldn't imagine it be super high proof because it hasn't had a lot of time to age.
It depends on what proof it went into the barrel at, though. Because it could go into 125.
But it's not like the more I drink it, it doesn't continue to be blistering. So I'm going to assume it is younger than 3, but I also think that it is under 120.
Nice. Well, we're gonna probably separate a little bit here already. I thought it was over 120 because it blew my face off when I first had it. I agree. Going back to it, it was less, but I've also been drinking. So, I also thought, given the richness, it was probably over 3. But I got grain. But I also get grain on some other products from a particular distillery that makes spicy whiskey in the 5-year range, and that's MGP. So I think the stated distillation is Indiana. I think we're talking about a 5 to 6 year old MGP. You're probably thinking it's a younger MGP. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I put Indiana because I literally don't know what other state. It would be a shot in the dark of any other thing. But I assumed if it's just a barrel of MGP, I have to put Indiana.
Yeah, and then I put I think it's a Remus single barrel pick because that's the only thing of the age and proof that
I got nothing. I put no clue on both of those.
All right. Oh, do we need to, Porkins, real quick, Porkins, I need your help. I just opened this, but can I pull out anything or are all the answers on one sheet? We might need to keep going and do a big reveal.
He mentioned something. Look back up. He said something about it. He tagged us. The answers are individually labeled.
Okay, great. Wonderful. You're a hero. Okay, 3. The paper is semi-translucent, so I'm not going to read this. Okay, set this over here. Got number 1 here. All right, number 1. It is Iron Root, which I think is Texas, which I originally wrote down. Dang it. Iron Root, Harbinger, 115 proof, 32 months. So,
real quick, hold on. I didn't listen to anything you said, but because I'm distracted by monosyllabic again. Which is there's a question. What bottle, in your experience, is a standard for 2 to 3 year old flavor? I'm glad you asked. For 3-year-old flavor, I would say the standard is Middle West.
Yeah, I would agree. It's surprising how good that stuff is. They're using smaller barrels, which seems to age or speed up the aging process.
I have no idea what Iron Root Harbinger
it's Texas
bourbon is.
Yeah, I'm 90% sure it's Texas. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody? I'll Google it though. But what is
the state of distillation of Iron Root? Do we have to look
I think it's Texas. I'm about to look. Yeah, it's Denison, Texas. Dang it. I mean, because I wrote Texas and I scratched it out and wrote Indiana. Because I thought if it was young, my thinking was if it was young, it had to get enough and the heat in Texas would accomplish that. So Brian takes a commanding 2-0 lead after the round one. And I should have gone with my gut more than I did. But did I? No, I did not. So suffer the consequences. 0. All right. Well, that was fun and not bad. Not a bad whiskey. It is grainy, but
it also has a little
months,
bit of something else there too.
Yeah, 32 months, not bad at all. Really, really solid whiskey out of Texas, and would be interesting to taste up against the Still Austin caster.
Right.
Okay. All right, so that was sample. I do think it's grainier than that Still Austin, actually. And given that going back to that graininess, that I should have. I don't know what I was thinking.
Oh, what glasses I just cleaned out?
Hindsight's always 20/20. All right, whiskey number 2. And one of the things I will say, I noticed this when I pulled the samples out when Brian and I were getting on here. It's the samples get progressively lighter in color. You can't help but notice that.
Can you show up the quad? I'll show them.
Yeah, your lighting is probably better. Yeah, my everything is yellow here, but going from my left to right. Yeah, there you go. Your lighting is fantastic for it. Anyway, sample 2. Here we go. So remember, only the first 2 he's noted are bourbons.
This has got good nose.
It's got a good palate too.
Number 2, you've already had?
I just took a shot straight out of the bottle.
I'm behind.
All right. So this one, proof over under 120, age over under 5, is the small grain wheat or rye, state of distillation and distillery. This is delicious, especially coming off of one. I'm just going to drink this. I don't even care. Don't even care what it is. It's really good. If this is under 5 years, I'm just going to say this right now. It's probably the best under 5-year whiskey I've ever had. I'll stop talking because I don't want to give anything away. I don't want to influence you. Not that I would, because that you have a strong, independent palate.
Man, that's good.
Mm-hmm. It is good. We can agree on that. We can agree on the goodness.
I'm sorry, guys. Keep coughing.
Well, you're still recovering, so we're going to cut you some slack.
And I just keep getting these tickles in my throat, and it's really...
throughout COVID, I had one cold. I've had one cold in 2 years now. And so I'm going like, oh, boy. At some point, I'm just in for it.
Man. It's sweet. I'm gonna just talk a little bit while we're doing it just to keep it on board.
It's fine.
It's sweet, but it got a nice bite to it too.
Yeah, agreed. Proof is tough on this one. Real nice viscosity. Syrupy mouthfeel. What are they talking about? EG here? Emerald Giant. Yeah, I'm okay on Emerald Giant. I'm not huge on the Redwood Empire stuff. It's good, but it's kind of young good. It's craft good. Here's my hot take. I think the Emerald Giant is the 12-year one, which I've not had. So that's the well-aged stuff. So I can't speak to that. I've had, maybe it is. Now I'm confused. Because I've had 3, the blue label, the green label, and the red label. But the gray label, the well-aged ones, I've not had. Dang it. I'm really struggling here on distillery. This is how I end up drinking more than I want to, is I feel like I taste it and I miss. And then I go back and I miss again. And then I drank 3 ounces.
Ma'am.
This, I mean,
Shoot.
yeah, I know. There's a couple directions I'm going with it. But the list of, yeah. So I have a lot to talk about with this one because it's really, really hard to dial into.
What's that distillery called? Oh, that's right. All right, I'm done.
Okay, hold on. Dang.
What's got you stumped right now?
Everything does, because it's a crushable whiskey.
Yeah.
But it's got some heat. So
yep.
To me, it's in that 120 range. So I'm stuck on over under. Not really stuck on age. Not really stuck on small grain. Stuck on distillery state of distillation a little bit. Because there's nothing, I haven't had a craft whiskey that this reminds me of except one. And I highly doubt that is what this is. So I'm inclined to think it's not super craft. And that makes it tough. So you're done, you said?
I'm done.
Okay. So I'll just walk through it. Like it's so crushable. I think the proof is under 120, and it's really rich. I like the mouthfeel. But it has some kind of sharpness to it, which also makes me think that I could see how this could be over 120 proof. I don't think it is. I definitely think it's over 5 years. It's got a slight spiciness to it.
There should be, Eric.
Slight spiciness to it that's similar to some spicier Buffalo Trace, but not a spiciness like a Heaven Hill, Jim Beam, even 1792. That said, it's really, really good, and I'd be surprised if it was a craft whiskey. If it was, it might be like a Middle West, which is very Buffalo Trace-ish, which I think this is kind of similar to Buffalo Trace, but hits above Buffalo Trace or Eagle Rare in terms of proof, and probably hits above what I'm going to guess it is. But I think it's E.H. Taylor, but it's probably a little hotter than that. But the palate is so similar. That's what I'm having trouble like deviating from. It's because I can't think of another distillery that tastes like this that I'm going to throw out. Buffalo Trace, Kentucky, under 120, over 5 years, and rye based.
Wait, say that again. Under 120, over 5 years.
Yeah, rye based Kentucky bourbon.
Yeah, as I chew on it, it comes off like confectiony sweet at first, but then it definitely lingers with the same kind of spice that this corn whiskey did. And I see that's a bourbon, but like the corn whiskey, like the American whiskey from Old Carter I've talked about. So for that reason, as I drink it, where compared to the first one where I drink it and it didn't continue with heat, The second time, every time I do, it continues to be like pressing the same heat level. To me, I'm going to say it's above 120. I'm going to say it's over 6 years old. I also think it's rye based, even though it does come off sweeter. I'm putting that it's Indiana distillation again, just because of what I just mentioned that are MGP related. However, for the distillery, and because it does have a slight perfumey, bubblegummy sweetness on the front, I'm saying Wilderness Trail, but I don't think any of their picks are over 120. But I know some of their bourbons are over 6 years old. So I'm just putting that does not match up with the state of distillation. But I mean, otherwise I would write nothing for the last two again.
Interesting. Okay. Oh, wow. You're wrong. But this is Woodinville cask strength. So I had some Woodinville stuff.
It does not taste like the last Woodinville I had.
Yeah. I mean, hand filled at the distillery, 121.46 proof, 6 years old.
Yeah, this is way better than the other Woodinville I had.
I believe that is rye based. So you get over 120 proof, you get over 5 years, and you get rye. So you pick up 3 more points. So you're at now 5. And then I pick up 2 for over 5 years in rye.
This is a Woodinville I have.
Yeah, so I mean this game is far from over, but you're off to a commanding lead. And this is good. This is very good, and I would want to.
I guess those are pretty similar.
I'd be very proud of this pick if it was ours.
Yeah. Let's get a Woodinville pick, dude. Let's save the sample so we know what to compare it to, and let's go do a Woodinville pick. How do you get
dude out? Yeah, in the Pacific Northwest, 100%. Where's Woodinville exactly?
Wait, where? Yeah, wait. What do you mean? Where are they? I don't know where they are.
I think they're Pacific Northwest. Hold on. Washington State. Yeah.
This was banger. That was good.
Yeah, I'm definitely here for that. Little weekend trip. Quick flight out there.
Why does Porkins have like the most blistering collection of whiskey?
Seems like a cool guy. I mean, I want to meet Porkins.
Porkins, you're the man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're a man. If you're not a man, you're the person.
Yeah, I forget Porkins. Oh no, I don't. It's Andrew Beck.
Seattle area. What's up? I love Seattle with a passion.
Seattle is great. I spent a weekend there for SCA, and it was delightful. Okay.
Oh my gosh, this sounds amazing. I need to go there.
Number 3.
Oh, what are the questions for this? Oh man.
So this is a whiskey of some
kind. The oldest whiskey in the blend over or under 12 years old? What the hell?
So here are the questions. Is the proof over or under 130? Is the oldest whiskey in the blend, so now we know it's a blend, over or under 12 years? Is this an American whiskey or Scotch? Guess the finishing cask and guess the bottler.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah. This is fun. I feel like I have an advantage going into this.
Yeah, you probably do if it's a Scotch, or if it's resembling a Scotch. I'm gonna
trying to differentiate between the two, like just because you don't play in this category very much. But we'll see. I might just lose epically, but oh, what's happening right now? Tom's threatening to pull the chat over. I don't know what happened. What did I miss? I don't know what I missed, but it sounds like they're having fun. Play nice, kids. A lot of thoughts just on the nose, but I won't share them because I feel like it gives something away. Because I feel like I have an advantage here, and I'm down by 3.
Okay, so I don't know. I don't.
What?
Nothing. I'm going to go with this.
Wow. I mean, there's just so much to say.
Dang, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna say something real quick.
Go for it.
I hope it doesn't spoil it for you.
No.
If this is a Scotch, I think I would like Scotch. So we could talk about that afterwards. I'm just throwing that out
Yeah.
there. Like, I enjoy this. It's heavy. It's good. It's syrupy. I like it.
I have a lot of thoughts. I'm gonna save them until I'm done. I got a couple of these questions I got to answer first. I've tasted some things very similar. I'll say that.
I think I'm done.
Okay. Jeepers. Let me know. Are you done? I have to answer one more thing.
Yep.
I smell like coffee. I spent a lot of time in our training center today doing a photo shoot for our holiday bakery and latte items, which I need to update the squad. I've been working on this old-fashioned syrup with Traverse City bourbon cherries. We're barrel aging our own honey using bitters in this. And guys, it is so good.
You can send me some?
I can probably can some of this up and send it to you. It should be shelf stable. Yeah. It's redonk. I think you'll dig. Let me
Porkins. I love this pour. It's a little sweet, but I like it a lot.
Okay. I am ready to go. Okay. It's hot. It is powerful and it is zesty. It is sweet and butterscotchy. Age is kind of a crapshoot. I'm just trying to infer from the fact that you asked the question, is it over or under 12 years, what I think you want me to say. Finishing cask is tough because we're not getting big winey notes, fortified wines, other distillates that are very apparent. So it's kind of a subtle finishing. And then the bottler, I think, bottles other things like this. So I think I know who the bottler is because it tastes really, really similar to another product I have on the shelf behind me. But what are you thinking, Brian?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to answer a lot. I feel like I'm going to answer a lot of things if I say the thing I'm going to say.
Which is fine because I'm done. I wrote everything down. We're done.
As soon as I tasted this, it tasted like Dovetail from barrel to me, which is which is finished in, I think, some wines. I think it's finished in Jamaican rum. But like you said, it doesn't come off overly fruit saturated.
Yeah, right.
But it is very sweet. And when I don't know if Michael's still in the chat. I haven't seen him in a while. But also, he let me borrow another barrel product that was, I thought, like our cognac or rum finished or something.
I can't find any cognac in that palette though.
No, but I'm not saying it's that. What I'm saying is it distinctly tastes like the sweetness that came from, like it tastes like almost this coconutty rum flavored like I got in Dovetail. And I just tried Dovetail again last night. And the fact that I've had another finishing like it in a different, older barrel product, it still just has me leaning towards barrel and it has me leaning towards rum. But I don't think it drinks that hot. I'm going to assume it's like in the 120s or something like that. But I don't think it's a Scotch. I do think it's well, the other alternative American whiskey. I don't know what I would. I don't think it's a Scotch, but I also don't know anything about Scotch.
All right, so run me through your answers here.
I said that it is under 130. I think it's in the 120s. I think the oldest. I think it's older than 12 years old, even though it's hard to tell age.
Yeah, right.
And the other barrel product that I'm talking about is an 18-year barrel product. And I think the keg and bottle guy was talking about sending me a barrel blend that I did not end up getting. And I thought it also had 18-year in there. I was excited to try it. I didn't get a chance to try it. So I'm going to assume it's over that. American whiskey, it's rum finished. I am still saying barrel craft spirit because that rum note is so on point with Dovetail to me.
Interesting. So it is sweet, but I don't get like a rumminess of it. It's hot. It's the hottest thing we've drunk so far today, and it lingers on the palate. Yeah, well, that's my opinion. I could be wrong. Like time is about to tell. So I thought over 130. Given the question, 12 years, I think it's probably well-aged, like light whiskey as a base. It's not very malty, so I do not think it's Scotch. I get no malt, like nothing apparently malty. And it's kind of bourbon-y, so I didn't put rum. You know, when you were saying rum, I'm like, oh, I could definitely see a rum finish here. But I said I didn't get anything rummy, so I just said, let's just say it's a bourbon cask finish. And Obtainium... The Obtainium brand out of Cat's Eye does all kinds of weird stuff. So that was the bottler. I put Cat's Eye Distillery under the Obtainium brand bottling this. What did you put for bottler?
I'd put Barrel Craft Spirits. I honestly think this is Dovetail, but
it's way too hot to be Dovetail. I'm happy.
I don't think it's wrong. I don't feel like it's as hot as you, but I thought my Dovetail was like 122 proof.
Okay.
Or maybe 100, maybe it was like 60 point something.
I sometimes think you just read these. Barrel Craft Spirits American Whiskey, a seal box pick. So, yeah, this is fun. 131.96 proof, blend of 14...
it is light whiskey.
14-year Indiana light whiskey, 18-year Kentucky corn whiskey, 5 to 8-year Indiana and Kentucky bourbon and rye, finished in a friggin' rum cask.
Do you not taste that coconut on there?
I taste plenty of sweetness. I just like rum tends to have this funky, almost clawing. I mean, since it's just a finish, it's pretty subtle. But like I said, when you said it, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I could kind of get that. But this is really good, really interesting. I mean, and again, goes to show like the glories that light whiskey can be. I'm gonna just hit it one more time. So Brian's just cleaning my friggin' clock today. I didn't accuse him of cheating. I just think he's very good at this time, and it's frustrating to me because I
wasn't good last time. Eric, you would not hate this, man. I mean, you might. It is on the sweeter side, but dude, I like.
No one would hate this.
I also love rum drinks.
I like this too. I like it a lot, and I think Porkins delivered a fire blind for sure.
Oh man, AJ,
so
what is this?
I get
A1.
Did you say over or under 12?
I said over 12, but I did say under 130 proof. I thought it was in the 120s.
We both got the American whiskey part. You got the finishing cask, and you got friggin' bottler. So that one you got 4, I got 3. So now it's 5 to 9. So I basically have to clean sweep the last round.
I got
to win this.
I got 7 there.
No, you didn't. Oh yeah, you did because I was not giving you the extra point for 1 point for proof you didn't get, point for age, point for American whiskey, 2 points for oh my gosh.
Is Barrel a bottler or are they just what is Barrel?
Yeah, they're a bottler. You got it. Yeah, you're correct. I'm just hating my life. So 5, 6, 7. So you have 12, and I have 5. I got all the cheap points. Ouch, that stings. And this last round is worthless. So I may have already lost. I'm down by 7, and there's only 6 points up for grab on the last whiskey. Dang it. Bummer. All right. Well, we're going to do it anyway. Just for
Dude, that was solid.
shards
I'm a
and
big fan of that.
giggles.
I wish there was
Yeah.
some more oak, but I actually don't want it to be over oaky, so I'm going to remember this. I'm going to keep this sample.
Yeah, it's a really nice, interesting, different profile. That is more similar. What it reminded me of 100%, and why I'm glad I said light whiskey is because it reminds me of this guy. This 16.
What is that, Obtainium?
Yeah, 16-year.
Yeah, I've not had that before.
Did I? I've got a buttload of samples I have ready for you, and I don't think I sent you that. So I will get you another sample. You're gonna have 9.
Wait, did you send me Obtainium?
I might have done it before. You can check your old set of samples and see if there's that. It would have been labeled. Okay, all right, focus up. Ugh, hang in there, buddy.
I don't even know what this last thing's gonna be.
So this is very pale. I will say that. I gotta set certain ones of these samples. I mean, all these. So the iron root was fine, but samples 2 and 3 were both very good. So these I'm gonna drink later this week. Okay. All right, last sample. Here we go. So the questions on sample 4. Is the proof over or under 130? Is the age over or under 18? So we got another heavy hitter apparently, with plenty of age, but it's, I mentioned, very light. Primary grass bill. Grain of the mash bill, wheat or corn. Is it an American whiskey or Scotch? Guess the finishing cask yet again. There is 0 on the nose.
It smells like a birthday cake to me. I thought there was a fly in mine, but it's just a big bubble that I can't pop.
It's a very light nose. I get fruit flies in my whiskey all the time. There's nothing more frustrating than taking a sip and getting that fruit fly on your tongue. It's like, ugh. La, 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 la. What did I miss? Seems like something happened in the chat.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mono, again, gets award for most enthusiastic. Let me get back to his last comment. Oh, ouch.
What did I miss?
So it seems like what the hell is going on? Where are the bad comments? I need to see them and fulfill my urge to judge others' trespasses. Yeah, I can't keep up with it, but I missed it. And it seems like also Mono's getting treated poorly by a liquor store. Easy Money, I think he was called. Yeah, I missed a lot. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna hit this whiskey. It seems like everybody's getting along well, though. So. Well, that's dang interesting. Not at all what I expected.
It smells and tastes like a birthday cake.
Hey, Brian, let's do this. Since you already won, right? You won. Yep. Okay. Let's talk through this and let's see if we can triangulate together to come up with a really solid answer. But you are correct. Birthday cake is a very good.
Well, and here's something when it comes to answers, and maybe I'm gaming it a little bit. These questions here: is the primary grain of the mash bill wheat or corn? Followed by, is this American whiskey or a Scotch? I don't know much about Scotch, but aren't Scotches malt?
That is
So
correct.
if the primary grain is wheat or corn, it can't be a Scotch.
Well, so
Like,
that's not true.
does the first question mean that this has to be an American whiskey?
No,
That's
no.
what's playing out in my head.
Yeah, so you could have a Scotch that's made with a different grain. You cannot have a single malt Scotch that is not malt barley.
Dude, this tastes like a birthday cake. This is weird. For the first question to me, is it over or under 130 proof? If this is over 130 proof, easiest drinker ever. It is. To me, this drinks like.
It's pretty sweet.
100
color.
It drinks like 105 proof. It is very easy to drink.
Yeah, it's definitely under 130 proof. It's to me over 105, but we're in the 120 to 115, 120 range, not 130. That said, it seems like it's probably pretty close to 130. I'm going to take the under on the proof.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's under for sure.
Age over or under 18 years. This is tough. So
that's the hard one.
And I don't think it's wheated. The sweetness leads me to believe this is corn. It's a corn whiskey.
I'm going to disagree with you.
We're working together on this one. So tell me what
the
you
main
think.
reason I disagree with you is actually not from my own thoughts. In the video that Fred Minnick just did about the Parker's Heavy Char wheat whiskey, he was saying, "Oh, you've got to be careful if things overly weedy because it becomes bubblegummy." And I would say that
when wheat goes awry, it starts to taste like bubblegum. So
now this doesn't taste like bubblegum, but I would say birthday cake. I would say birthday cake would equally be maybe as wheat thoughtful as corn. I mean, I would think the bubblegum and birthday cake fall in similar categories of flavor, but maybe I'm wrong. So that just makes me think wheat, purely based on nothing I know and 100% on what Fred Minnick said in that video.
I don't get. So when I think of wheat, I think of spicier notes than corn. Corn is
I generally do too. You're right.
Nondescript as it comes when it comes to spice. You don't get a lot of spice from something that's just straight corn.
That's
now
smart.
You will get. Here's what I will say: you will get a decent amount of spice from the corn whiskey that we're getting from MGP, bottled by Dancing Goat, but that is specifically from the Spanish oak. So, this is really sweet. So I come back to the sweetness, and this is definitely aged in used cooperage. It's not a Scotch. It's 100% not a Scotch. If it is, so wait, I'm going to take this back 1 second, because this could be a Scotch from our good friends at Scotch Malt Whiskey Society that did something hella funky. They may have had a absolutely killer banger single barrel that they bottled at cask strength, but it wouldn't have been wheat or corn. I don't think.
Bubblegum is pink, Tom. Here's the deal.
Yeah, I think it's got to be American.
Hold on, before you think too far, I've got a suggestion.
I'm spiraling.
Because I just saw the last question is guess the finishing casks.
Yeah.
Finishing cask.
Which is important. But
wild thought. What if this was a vanilla extract finish and all the birthday sweetness is from the finishing and not anything else?
Who has done that? Has anybody done that?
Literally don't know.
Okay.
Good times. I don't know. But it tastes like vanilla bean ice cream.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's delicious.
So if it was
surprising.
So if it was vanilla finished, I could understand that being something powerful enough to hide 18-year whiskey and something that could tame the wildness of corn. So right now, I'm just before locking in my final answers, my answers are Nathan are under 130, over 18, corn American vanilla extract, because why not?
So I'm
But-
under 130. The 18 is tough because why would he ask 18? And I'm getting more into the behavioral economics.
Because it makes you think of a Scotch.
Sure.
If it's a Scotch,
sure.
you're going to think Scotches are older.
Probably, even though
So
they're pale.
it's playing into a different question.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm also trying to think of who
It
has
tastes like
bottled any whiskey in the United States over 18 years. And like I would
Vanilla
actually guess this was more
finished.
Canadian whiskey.
Vanilla finished
Not
whiskey.
American, but it's American or Scotch. I don't think it's Scotch because it's not very Scotchy. And birthday cake is correct, unless it's the Glenmorangie bottling a tail of cake. In which case they nailed it. They friggin' nailed it. But I don't think it was as heavy of a hitter as this guy is. And then mash bill, wheat or corn. Yeah, that throws me off in relationship to the Scotch question. So I'm gonna say, what did you say on the mash bill?
Check this out. I am Googling. Should I talk about things I've Googled so far or no?
We're just trying to guess what this is. So together we're working together. So let's have it.
When I Google Heritage Distilling Co. dual barrel finished in vanilla extract barrels.
Okay.
Whoever Heritage Distilling is, it says
Okay.
some double barrel thing, making it sweeter and smoother
Uh-huh.
with a lot of vanilla.
We got that.
With low proof, and it's in the U.S. That's all. It's a $25 whiskey. That's all
Yeah.
Hold
If
on.
this is $25, I'm selling my house and I'm just buying cases of that.
Heritage Distilling is a craft distillery in Washington. It's the most awarded craft distillery in North America by the
That's not
American
true.
Distilling Institute 7 years in a row. Whoever they are.
Yeah.
But
most
anyway,
awarded by my mother, my Aunt Bertha.
Litchfield Distillery vanilla bourbon. So it is a thing. Maybe it's Crown Royal. I mean, who knows?
It's not. It's American or Scotch. It's unless it's North
I don't know what
American,
Crown Royal
unless
is.
he's counting.
Dude, it's got to be.
Canadian.
It's got to be vanilla extract finished. It has to be. It's just so friggin'. Unless it's also rum.
Yeah. No, I could see rum. Honey. Could it be honey finished?
So you know that I'm wrong when Porkins chimes in and is like, Heritage is terrible.
Well, we haven't had it, so. What do you think about honey, Brian? Hit that again, because I could see it being honey.
It's
Honey
too vanilla for honey. It's too vanilla
not.
for honey.
No, it's not.
It
Not
is.
if it carried some vanilla from the whiskey. I think a vanilla finish is, unless you're actually reading these answer sheets.
It tastes like French vanilla coffee creamer.
I completely agree with you. But what's the likelihood that this is vanilla bean finish?
Oh my gosh, if this is vanilla bean. Oh.
Let me be very clear.
Kristen.
It tastes a lot like, it's funfetti vanilla birthday cake. That said, I'm gonna guess the finishing cask is a honey cask. I'm gonna guess it's under
Jug
18.
Jug. Is this Crown? It can't be Crown.
That's Canadian.
Can it be Crown?
Yeah. No, it cannot. It cannot be.
It kind of does have a peachy finish though.
It's
Jug, you're not wrong.
It's not flavored. Yeah,
like
but
a
it's not
peachy
that
vanilla.
flavored. Like I would taste the artificial flavoring. We would know that. We would be like, this is a flavored whiskey. So I'm gonna say
Man, that tastes
under
so
8.
good. It's probably.
I
wrong.
honestly have no idea the age of this. It's just a unique whiskey.
It's probably rum. Is there like a Vino de Vanille or something like that, like a vanilla wine?
So I'm gonna say under 18 corn whiskey, American honey finished. So under 130 proof, under 18 years old, corn whiskey, American honey.
Okay.
Hit me with yours again.
Under 130, over 18, corn American vanilla extract.
Okay. Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, which I mentioned.
Son of a...
Tiki Bar Delivery, Highland Single Grain Scotch.
It's a flipping rum.
124.2 proof, 20 years, finished in a rum cask. Well, I'm glad I guessed that I was right in the funky, like cool stuff that Scotch Malt Whiskey Society is doing. And that's absolutely one that you should. Hey, Porkins, how long ago did you buy this? Is this still up on the site?
Oh my gosh, this is fly.
Their stuff goes pretty quick, but yeah. Hopefully it's fun to watch us process through that. Because
and I should have stuck with my gut on the wheat with it tasting like bubblegum, but once I started talking about the vanilla and the rum,
it doesn't exactly taste like bubblegum. I appreciate that you thought that because of Fred.
Thanks, Fred.
It's so light.
FMD.
Like, while it's very sweet, it is very light, and it's not spicy in the least. So
I don't know where this is, but I need to see if
Highland single grain.
I would buy this.
Yeah, I would too.
It's very sweet.
This is unusual for Scotch. I will say that.
This is probably
not
the best Scotch I've had so far, but
profile.
it's very too sweet for me if it was just a regular drinker.
Porkins said this came out a few months ago. I gotta look this up. I gotta log in here. I'll tell you guys.
I don't know what single malt whiskey society is. So if you see them,
Scotch Malt
get
Whiskey
me one too.
Society. If I can, I will, depending on the price. So wait for it. I think this will be a good review for Nathan.
So if we were to play the game of is it better than Pineapple High Noon? No, it's not. And so
oh my gosh, it's still available. Do you want to know how much it is though?
Oh gosh,
no, it's not. It's not available. But I can reach out to my friend who works for Scotch Malt Whiskey Society.
Yeah, you should pull a favor. How much is it though?
$165.
I would do that.
So Porkins must have some disposable income. All right, this is the last game we're gonna play of the night. What does Porkins do for a living?
Hitman.
I like it.
I'm gonna go back to eating my dinner now.
Fighter pilot is a reasonable guess as well, given that he's got that X.
Has anybody seen Dune yet?
No.
Besides Tom?
Man, that was good. Yeah, we know Tom saw it like 8 times, right? So yeah, big shout out to Monosyllabic, new guy in the chat. You guys stop teasing about being blitz. Yeah. I don't know where that came from, but thanks for jumping in the chat. You seem new here. Have you been to a live stream before? If not, welcome. Welcome to this community. Welcome to Nathan. Again, what I will say.
Porkins, what do you think of Dune, dude? Did you see it in the theater? Or did you watch it on HBO?
Thanks for interrupting.
Because I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Anyway,
I don't know if I can get it on the theater. I think I'm gonna have to watch it on HBO.
I also want to shout out Terrence because I don't feel like he's gotten enough shout outs, and he's been in and out of chat for quite a while now. So yeah, Terrence, thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate you. And then the regulars, you guys. Thanks for being a part of Nathan. You're about to be rewarded handsomely with some fire whiskeys. Speaking of fire whiskeys, Porkins, one more time, thank you for that blind. We do have. Have you received any others, Brian? I have not.
Any others? What?
Any other blinds?
No.
We did receive the DM and the comment from MF, Mother Flubber, maybe.
Jug.
Yeah, Jug in the chat. Finally got around to pouring a couple of blind flights for you and Brian. A couple? Wow, sick. We'll try to ship them out Monday or Tuesday. Yeah, we'll send you addresses on the IG here, Mother Flubber / Jug, as soon as we're done. But thank you. So, if you guys,
what's up? Who's excited about Eternals? Let's go. I'm super excited about Eternals too. I got so many movies. I got to finish Squid Game tonight, and then I'm ready for whatever other viewing pleasures there are.
I can't keep up with this stuff. I feel like I'm getting old. Now, I mean, there's so many things to watch that I literally can't even. Not that I wouldn't, but I can't. That's kind of how I feel about it. I do want to thank Tom for recognizing that I went the whole live stream without peeing. I do have to go now.
Super proud of you.
But I'm not urgent. I'm probably a little dehydrated. That's how I achieved this. Yeah, I mean, it was a busy day. So I probably just forgot to drink water. Yeah. Oh, Chris R. also new. Thanks for tuning in, man. We're just spiraling now.
No way.
I was
We're good.
talking about my bladder size, but
Well, that's a typical thing, man. It's not really spiraling if you talk about it every time.
no, but yeah, I suppose that's true. It's part of our brand. We'll make that a Patreon exclusive sticker or something, like an actual picture of my bladder. Maybe I'll go get an MRI.
We should get stickers that say Nathan.
Need Nathan.
Just Nathan. Just sticker that says Nathan.
I don't know why that's so funny. I mean, you misspoke once.
What about a pocket tee? What about a pocket tee that just says Nathan on it?
It'd be hilarious to just like wear out. It's like a monogram T-shirt that says Nathan on it. Oh, it's somebody introduced me. Hey Nathan. Well, actually, my name's not Nathan. Oh, well, your shirt says Nathan. Yeah, actually, it's this random like inside joke on this YouTube bourbon channel that I watch. Okay,
you're too deep, dude.
You're weird. Yeah, just like back away slow. Cool, dude. I'll see you later. Oh man. Yeah, it's good stuff. Anybody else have anything? We're at 10:11, but I'm actually feeling tough. I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling good, but not like I over imbibed. But I'm prone to laugh. So otherwise, I literally have nothing else to talk about. I used it all. Oh, no. I gave everything I had to that tasting, and now I lost again. I'm down 3-2. I mean, there's been some parity, but I feel like the ones I lost big, like go down in a blaze of glory. You did well tonight, though. You performed. I mean, with that barrel pull, yeah, I felt like you had it. You brought it. You won it.
It tastes like Dovetail, man. It tastes better than Dovetail, which is good, I guess.
So I got to figure out what Eric is doing. Eric, are you trying to tell me? Are you signaling? Because I've seen you do this bowl thing. Okay, I think I know what you're doing. You're trying to tell me on Saturday when we golf, you want to drive and play the bowl at Pinehurst Farms. So it's an hour and like 15 minutes from my house. Let me explain. Eric and I, Swing Nation, are going to golf on Saturday. I have to check with my wife, but
sounds like the worst.
It's like the last round of golf we're going to play for the year, probably. And we were talking about playing the bowl up near Sheboygan Falls, which is by Sheboygan, which is an hour and 15 minutes from my house. So that's adding 2.5 hours of drive time to our round of golf, which is already like an hour of warm up plus 4 hours. It'd be great. I would love to do that. But my poor wife, I got to take Calvin to soccer at 10:30 and then get up for golf. And we got to be done with golf by 5:30 because anyway.
Yep.
Eric really wants to play the Bowl, which is a golf course designed by Jack Nicklaus, who's kind of a weird guy. Not Eric, but Jack Nicklaus. He's good. He's pretty good. Was he the greatest of all time? No, that was Tiger Woods. Did he win more majors? Yes. But against worse competition, and nobody cares because Tiger Woods is the best. Not the best person. Jack is probably a better person, but he's also weird. Tiger's also weird. Seems like he's not a great person generally. Anyway, Jack Nicklaus designed this course, and I would love to play it at some point. But man, it's a long drive, and I think Eric has been sending me pictures of bowls. Like if you go back and just scroll through the chat and look at Eric's comments over the last 2.5 hours, it's just a bunch of bowls. Like. Yeah, no, like going back from the start, I think Eric has commented 10 times with the line of bull emojis. So
if anyone who hates golf like me and Tom would rather have a Dune viewing party live stream, then we could organize that.
We could do that. That would be interesting.
Chat. Well, not you. You'll be golfing.
That's not necessary.
Warfest.
Porkins here, who is a member of Swing Nation, hate Nicholas courses. He makes courses that he would have played well. They're not good for anyone else. He's the second greatest player of all time. And yeah, I mean, Nicholas courses are notorious for being hard, super hard. I have not played the bowl. Eric has. He said it's not as hard as the bog, which is a Palmer course near here. But the deal with the bog is if you hit it off the fairway, you lose your ball because it's a bog. It's a literal bog.
We're losing viewers by the second, Drew.
We're
I don't
way
know if
over
that's
time.
true or not.
No,
I don't know if that's true or not.
We've been
I'm
hovering
saying that to get you to stop.
We peaked when we were doing our you name it, we review it. Like
Dude,
when
that was
we
interesting for sure.
Yeah, when we do our bits, like let's talk about a topic, we do well in terms of viewers. When we do our tastings, slowly trail off. But the core members of Nathan really appreciate that.
I appreciate you, Nathan.
Yeah, it's just less viral.
I love you, Nathan.
But it's substantial as we break down these whiskeys for sure. And then when we devolve into bladder size, golf, dune talk, certainly people lose.
I think if we opened it back up to the dune talk initially, we'd start off with like 175 viewers.
Well, let's see what happens. We're at 31 right now. Let's talk about dune for a minute. I know nothing about it, so
does the YouTube algorithm just hear us talking about dune and send people to us?
It might. I mean, we could
I don't think that's
mention
true.
like Kardashian or something and see if that helped, or Belieber. What are other things we're supposed to know? TikTok.
Have you listened to the
floss dance? Listen to what?
That was like 3 years ago, dude.
Gosh, I can't keep up.
Tom, when are you back in Louisville, dude? Ready to get some more Louisville stuff going on.
He's not answering.
Nope.
No. But couple quick things. Number one, we are open for recommendations about our next barrel pick. So holla back at your boys if you have a particular craft distillery or maybe non-craft distillery, because we may have a lead for that. Where would you like to see some entry-proof picks come from? Number two, we do want to do a meetup. Am I right, Brian? Would you like to do a meetup with Nathan? Yeah, we want to make this happen, and we're just trying to figure out when and where and how and why. So we can talk more about that. But definitely in Kentucky, it has to be. So maybe off season, maybe it'd be.
I thought maybe we could go to like
April.
A Nicholas golf course.
Absolutely,
Nicholson. Who was his name? What was his name? Nicholas.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd meet up on a Nicholas golf course.
I'd prefer if it was, like something. But Tiger Woods has only designed one course and it sucks. It's like the weirdest, most produced course ever. He doesn't seem like a savant in terms of golf course design. He was more of a player. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. We can do multiple things where the foundational driver for our assemblage is whiskey. And then if somebody wants to play golf, maybe the next day, maybe 2 days after that, maybe go on a golf trip together. We could do that subsequent to the whiskey meetup. Kyle says maybe a Starlight meetup. I mean, throw ideas at us because we're open.
You can play laser tag.
Absolutely. Top Golf, which we tried to do with our boy Tom Lynch in Columbus, but we went to Top Golf, actually. This is a funny story. It's not that funny. But we were in Columbus doing the Middle West pick. Tom was with us, and we're like, let's try and go to Top Golf. It was like 10:30 at night, and there's probably not a more popular spot in Columbus than Top Golf. Am I right?
Probably.
I mean, that place was packed out.
Yeah,
Did you? Yeah. Did you
like
even get out of the car?
Casino.
Yeah, no. It was unbelievable. And there was so much weed in the air, like a secondary high. It was unbelievable. I do not, just for the record, at all. I mean golf. That's what I mean. I mean legitimate golf. Does any meetup have to be golf adjacent? For me, I will bolt golf on to anything I do. Because, I mean, I have whiskey and golf. Those are my hobbies, right? And so I'm not saying you have to like golf. But if we're all going to assemble, we will do the whiskey because that is what unites us. But there's a subculture of Nathan, like Nathan's left leg, that likes golf. And so me and Nathan's leg.
Yes.
Whoo! We will go. We'll go.
What's up, bud?
Oh man. Anyway. Yeah.
What if we played laser tag while driving golf carts?
You know, they make places most of the time. There's like kids there for their 11th birthday party where they have both laser tag and go-karts, which I'm pretty sure I did for my 11th birthday party. Pretty sure we did laser tag and go-karts, golf. Yeah. Anyway, I'm here for that. Definitely. Oh, Porkins here with a pretty killer recommendation. Sweetens Cove. Isn't that in Tennessee? Where is that? Pretty sure it's Tennessee.
That's Peyton Manning's brand, right?
Well, yes, but that brand of bourbon is based on the golf course, which it's him and a tennis player, Nadal, I think. Is it Nadal? No, it's Roddick, Andy Roddick. That's who it is. Glad I pulled that out. Nice trivia. Nadal is not American. Coots. I assume that's how you pronounce it. Yes, we do. If you also speak Jesus, not that that's a language, there's even more in common. Tennessee. Yep, Sweetens Cove in Tennessee. That would be a killer meetup for sure for members of Swing Nathan. We actually haven't lost any more listeners in the last few.
And
minutes.
Evans must have he must have missed the beginning of the stream where we talked about the dancing goat pick.
Why don't you update the squad? Yeah, because I'm kind of tired.
So so dancing goat. Interesting enough, we're contemplating picking up to 3 picks from there. We had talked about an 8-year bourbon that is like a December release.
It's a done deal. What's happening?
What has bumped itself to the front is this 7-year, the Spaniard corn whiskey. Really intriguing pick here. And it is in transit to Sealbox. I would say probably 2 weeks out from it being available. 150 bottles we'll have of that going out to the Patreon to just savagely
destroy,
rip it apart.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens after that. Yep.
Yeah, maybe a toasted finish rye, 95.5 rye. After that, we'll see.
Yep, still waiting to see how that continues to age out.
All right. Scouts minus, so it's not Coots, it's Couts. I suppose if I pronounce it phonetically, that would make sense. Well, dude, welcome. Yes, a lot in common. If you like bourbon and golf, we're a match made in heaven. Last announcement I have to make is I desperately, deeply, like in the core of my being, would like to produce a documentary style video. And I wanted to do this on my last Kentucky trip, but I just don't have the personal bandwidth to do this. But to produce a documentary trip of golf and bourbon through Kentucky, because I think we can get some distilleries and golf courses on board. So if there's anybody who's a videographer in Neat Nation /Nathan, reach out to me, because we should make some pretty dank videos, but I need somebody to be the video side so that I can be the talking side. Because I can't do both. And while I love my brother and my dad, it became evident very quickly that I couldn't make the videos I wanted to make without being in front of the camera. So that's how my last Kentucky trip ended up in the distillery reviews versus documentary style, which don't suck. They're decent videos, and that's the only place you can get YouTube distillery review videos, but not exactly what I wanted to make initially. So if you are a videographer, know a videographer who wants to mess around with some Kentucky-based golf and bourbon content, let's have a chat. I love my bro, Tom. I'm calling him out in the best way. Like, Austin is a fantastic human being, but he knows butt lick about whiskey. He's a beer guy. All right, guys.
Yeah, terrible beer.
What?
Nothing.
Oh, real quick before we sign off, get out of here. What did you think of that spotted cow, which I brought you when I was down there?
Did you bring me spotted cow?
Yeah, I gave it to you. Did you?
Did you really?
I gave it to you in Columbus. Did somebody else take it home?
I don't think I don't
I
remember
brought it
coming
in
home
with
with
your
spotted
like
cow.
whiskey samples and everything, like because I had a bunch of crap for you, and I had a
I mean,
six pack. Who ended up with the spotted cow?
dude, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember drinking the spotted cow at all. If I did, it was fine, but not memorable enough for me to like say anything about it. Man, I don't remember drinking it, but I don't remember it either.
Mm. Well, I'll bring you more. If it's not that good, like my spotted cow is fine, but it's only because it's Wisconsin exclusive.
For some reason, I feel like we even talked about maybe it being left in the Airbnb, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of something different.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
We didn't drink anything but whiskey in the Airbnb, which we learned after I booked it was not in a great area of town. But Airbnbs, pro tip, don't get an Airbnb. They're very expensive. But if you have to
In general or in Columbus?
talk to a local. Well, I mean, what did we pay for that one? It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I get reimbursed. But but anyway, is what it is now. But yeah, that was a lot of money for not a lot of Airbnb that we know. I had to sleep with my brother, and neither one of us is a small guy. We're both tall. Neither one of us is huge, but we're tall, and we slept in the same bed while my pump was failing, which then devolved in a big project in my basement. Anyway, we're done now. It's bedtime, right? Agreed.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's super late for me. I got to pack a lot of stuff up too. I got in-laws coming in tomorrow.
Nathan, it was a good night. Good night for sure.
Good night, Nathan.
Yep, we got some blinds coming apparently from other members of Nathan's left leg. Whether or not they play golf, TBD. But appreciate you all. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. It was a ton of fun. Hopefully you learned something from the reviews we did earlier from our breakdown of whiskey. But now I highly recommend hydration and sleep. Water for hydration and sleep. Those will help us recover. Get ready for tomorrow. It's Friday. Let's end the week on a good note. You guys know the drill, right? Just keep it neat while being healthy and being safe. Stuff like that. But see y'all later.
See you guys.